All right, so we're going to look at matching tables and equations. It's something that you'll notice a lot of in your chapter 1 homework, where we're looking at equations. Y equals 3x minus 1 is an example of an equation. And then we're also looking at tables where you have some sort of input value, some sort of x's, and then some sort of output value or y's. So the goal here when it says which equation matches the table, and we have A and B, so it's like a multiple choice question here. We're trying to see which one matches, and what that means is that when we put in each of these x's, so when we plug in -2, when we plug in 1, when we plug in 6, and when we plug in 12, we will get the y value associated with each number. So for A, it says y equals 3x minus 1, and B is y equals 4x plus 1. Now, some students are real good at being able to look at these two and looking at the table, and they can kind of figure out the relationship in their heads. However, in order to justify it, we need to show our work, and for some of us, including me, that's difficult to do, to look at this table and figure out which one of these equations matches it. So what we're going to do is kind of some trial and error and just plug in some x values and see what we get. So I'm going to start with x being -2. We can start with any of them, but I'm just going to start with the top one. And what I'm going to do for this input value is I'm just going to plug it right into this equation. So y equals, this equation says to do 3 times our variable. I'm going to plug in -2, so 3 times -2 minus 1. From here, it's just order of operations. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to take 3 and multiply it by -2. So 3 times -2 is -6. And then I have to subtract 1 from it. So -6 minus 1 is -7. So when we plugged in -2 to the equation for A, we did get -7. That's what we were looking for. However, with these types of problems, you never want to just plug one in, assume it's going to be right for the rest, and move on. You always want to plug in each and every value to double check. So we're going to keep going here, and we're going to plug in this 1. So y equals, I'm going to use the same equation, 3x minus 1, but this time I'm going to plug in a 1, so that's going to look like 3 times 1 minus 1. So again, following my order of operations, multiplication is first, 3 times 1 is 3, and then 3 minus 1 is 2. And remember, the goal here was to plug in 1 and get 5, but in this example here we got 2, so we know that A is not the correct choice. This equation does not match the table because for each of these x inputs, we're not going to get the given output. Even though it worked for the first one, it did not work for the second one, and it needs to work for each and every one to be true. So now we're going to go on to B, and we're going to do the exact same thing. The only thing that's changing here is our equation, y equals 4x plus 1. So again, I'm going to start with -2, so this time it's going to be y equals 4 times -2 plus 1. Again, order of operations, 4 times -2 gives me -8 plus 1. -8 plus 1 is -7, and that is what we were looking for. But again, as we just saw up here, it's very important to continue. So this time I'm going to plug in 1, and let's see if we get 5. So y equals 4 times 1 plus 1. Y equals 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So again, that is what we wanted, and that's what we got. So for this example here, which equation matches the table, the correct answer would be B. Now, to be completely sure of it, we should plug in 6 and -12, but since this is a multiple choice,